So, and that's that's the reason why I want to ask Sanne. And Sanne is a colleague at the Vrije Universiteit of Amsterdam. Sanne, do you get your microphone? Sanne, are you from the Geo or from the BIM side?
Does it work? Actually, I'm from neither of those worlds. I'm a physicist from my education, and in my PhD, I'm working on making physics models using both BIM and GIS.
So you're from physics and you're interested in energy. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
And are you following what's going on in Paris now?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And do you think there is Geo or BIM somewhere in all these documents in Paris?
I'm afraid that probably won't be the case.
Yeah, you don't think that? Does anybody know about this? Is there somebody involved from this community in this climate change, energy efficiency? What? No. Okay. But you are, and you are doing some research on that.
Yes, exactly.
Can you tell us a little bit what you're doing?
We're working currently on making a model that uses both geospatial information and BIM model information to make an installation model for buildings in the Netherlands. Currently, there are a lot of old houses in the Netherlands, and they are not very energy efficient. And there are a lot of ways to make these buildings more energy efficient. Insulation is one of those. Solar panels would be another, but I'm focusing right now on energy efficiency. And there are a lot of individual parts of a building that you can insulate. So those are roofs or floors or outer walls or inner walls. And so one of the pictures shows this a little bit. And actually the Netherlands, because we have this large gas production going on, we actually use a lot of natural gas to heat our houses. In fact, an average household in the Netherlands uses over 1,400 cubic meters of gas a year simply for heating their homes. However, this has to be decreased because of the earthquakes that Rob talked about, also because the gas supplies are declining, and simply also because of the climate change that we would like to start reducing a little bit. So therefore the Dutch government, together with a lot of social and public partners, has come to an energy agreement in 2013 that will last until 2023. And part of that energy agreement, which includes a lot of agreements, but now specifically in this case, it has been agreed that most of the social housing in the Netherlands should have a label B, energy label B, by 2023. And the privately owned houses should be a label C by 2023. At the moment, there's still a lot of work to be done to achieve that goal, and so finding clever ways to insulate the buildings to get to these energy labels is important, not just for climate change, but also to make these financially efficient decisions, because which houses do you start with? And what kind of measures do you apply to which individual house? And therefore, coming up with clever solutions and also optimization solutions is very important. And therefore, I believe firmly that GIS, that geospatial information and BIM both can have a strong contribution, because actually we do know quite a lot about the houses in this country. We have a lot of geospatial information available. So we have, for instance, the general height file in the Netherlands, Algemeen Hoogtebestand Nederland, part 2 and 3 actually at the moment. And from this we can actually learn a lot about the volume of a building, the floor area, the roof area, the side of the window of the building, and also much more information. And from the BIM models, especially if we go to a level of detail 4, we know a lot about the inner workings of a house and what kind of materials the walls are made of. And from this we can easily defer what the energy efficiency of a building is. And when we have all this data of a building, and we know what different type of measures we can take and what that will approximately cost, then you can make an optimization. It's not an easy thing to do, but it can be done. You can make an optimization of which buildings to handle first with the money that you have available, and which efficient measures are the most efficient to apply to individual buildings. And by making a clever plan like this, it's also easier to get people involved in this process.
I'm happy to introduce now my colleague from The Hague, Friso Penninga. This was happening in The Hague. And my question, Friso, to you is, what did you do to get the Prime Minister there, looking at your GeoBIM model?
Basically, in The Hague, we had a bit more ambition even than all the people that were working on the national level on the environmental planning law. And because people at the ministry know, they invited us to show our plans. It was close cooperation, and I think that our vision was even more attractive than the already existing national view.
Okay, and what was your impression of this meeting?
It was very nice to see, because basically what we did, we brought him to a setting where it was already 2024 when the Environmental Planning Act is completely implemented. And the nice thing was he was amazed by two things. First of all, that we thought that he would be still Prime Minister in 2024. And the other thing, that he found out that in his cabinet there were only women apart from himself. But the fact that he was working with 3D technology, that he was able to integrate all those different teams, he found it just completely logical. It was natural to him. And I think that's very important to see that from somebody who does not come from a technology point of view or perspective or background. It was quite feasible.
And what are you doing here?
What we're currently doing in The Hague is trying to pitch our idea of bringing this environmental law into the third dimension. And basically the idea to do that, I think it's quite obvious why we should do it and why we want to do it. Let me start with a few observations. First of all, urban development is already 3D. Urban planners work in 3 dimensions. They do not longer work with 2D maps. This is already reality. It's nothing new. And if you have a look at the current rules, for instance, this is a zoning plan, and officially zoning plans are in 2D. But if you start reading all the regulations, then also the current zoning plans contain a lot of 3D rules. For instance, maximum building heights, noise contours that can be placed on top of roads. So what you see here in the image is an existing zoning plan that has been extracted into the third dimension only by reading all the paper or all the rules that were stated in the paper part, not in the geometrical part. And we created a 3D map according to this zoning plan. Another thing that's really important for us as a municipality is to understand what's happening where in our buildings. And especially in the city, you can imagine that we have a lot of different types of functions within buildings. On ground floors, you will see shops, offices, whereas there are residential areas above it. So to have a clear insight in the usage of buildings and functions in buildings, we already need 3D. And it's possible by the integration of our current building administration with our 3D model. It's a way of linking that information. So basically, what is the idea of the municipality of The Hague? Our goal for, say, 2020, 2024 depends a bit on how fast we can work and how fast we can really realize our ambitions. We would like to have a 3D model with integrated, legally binding analytical capabilities. And Rob already told you something about all the different teams, and basically this whole Environmental Planning Act is about having a look at the physical environment from all those different perspectives, from the perspective of archaeology, noise, external safety, and so on and so on. And we want to be able to assess the influences of new developments on all those individual teams and really be able to balance them. Maybe, for instance, if noise gets a bit worse, but a lot of other factors are improving, that might still be a reason for us as a government to grant planning permission. Rob also said it already a little bit, it should be open, it should be available to the government, it should be available to companies and to citizens. And basically the overall goal is to get to lower research expenses. Because we spent a lot of money in trying to model noise on all kinds of building initiatives, and we're really spending a lot of money. But also companies that are trying to develop something in our city are spending a lot of money only to try to show to us as a government that all their initiatives fit within the current regulations. So if we can achieve lower research expenses, we would expect more building initiatives in our city, and that's something that we still really want. So basically, what do we need? Well, we need an up-to-date 3D model. That's something that a lot of people within the geo community are already focusing on. We need 3D analytical capabilities, and basically for all different fields, for instance noise modeling, air quality, those 3D models already exist, only they're not integrated yet. And we want seamless integration of these 3D plans of a company or a citizen, or maybe of the government themselves, to integrate the 3D plans in a 3D model and to be able to calculate the effects on the physical environment. So basically the 3D analytical capabilities, 3D Geo or 3D GIS. But as soon as we have a look at the 3D plans, that's really where BIM comes into place. And we need the integration of those two. So basically for us the questions to be answered, from a government point of view, we really want to know, should we grant planning permission or not? And after we do so, we like to monitor the development of the situation. For developers, is my plan feasible? Is this a good idea to invest in this? Or is it not very likely that I will get this planning permission, and maybe this development company will go to another city to try to have a nice development over there? And that's something that we really do not want. And last group, the citizens, we want to provide insight in the effects of proposed developments, because now we tell them something is going to happen in your neighborhood. Maybe we have some nice visualizations, but basically there it stops. We cannot show the effects of the proposed developments. So basically we want to be open to everybody, so that we are really creating a level playing field, that companies know already on what kind of regulations the government will judge them. So basically same information for everybody. And our challenge to you is basically help us to integrate this 3D GIS, 3D Geo world with BIM, because basically that is the key part for our idea to work.